Welcome to episode 15 of AI.cooking, a podcast about artificial intelligence.
Howdy, meatbags! Welcome to AI.cooking, episode 15. A podcast about artificial intelligence. I am Gorf the Cock, from the Kingdom of Kent, who brings you news about artificial intelligence from the second half of October 2021 and AI Knowledge Corner. Well, that went fairly well for an intro, I thought. How are you? I hope you are comfortable and ready to receive your artificial intelligence news by medium of podcast. I try a little fade out here with the music. So, I've had a great couple of weeks. Really, really good. Very busy with pubs and children and weddings and dancing and the occasional evening spent in Jitsi chatting to no agenda famalan. No, it's been great. Absolutely fantastic. Got my studio pretty much there. Plasterers are coming in tomorrow. Plaster is my father-in-law. Has been dutifully building it every other day off that he has. It's taken a few months, but we'll get there. And then I'll be fully fledged, podcasting 2.0 certified, and all that stuff. So, let's talk news. Ian Hogarth and Nathan Benaich have released state-of-the-art AI report. And it's available at their website, stateof.ai. Some major findings from this state-of.ai report. A. Military AI moves into productions, as one can observe on example of Israel, that is using AI-guided drones, and not merely individual drones, but intelligent drone swarms. B. Also talk of super corporations like Microsoft about ethical AI is bullshit. Because Microsoft sold to US Army HoloLenses for $22 billion. And they include also AI technologies. C. After years of limited activity, there have finally been some major developments in AI governance. Google blocked DeepMind's bid to shift its legal structure to try to tackle the oversight challenges associated with trying to develop AGI. Yes, DeepMind is working on AGI, which stands for Artificial General Intelligence. Or, in other words, sentient AI. D. Various people from OpenAI departed and launched Anthropic, a new AI research lab with a focus on AI safety and a governance structure that attempts to insulate itself against commercial interference. E. Elutha AI, an open-source initiative, has been created, arguing for-profit entities have explicit incentives to downplay risks and discourage security probing. It now has 10,000 people on their Discord server. More info can be found at their website, eluther.ai. That's ELEUTHER.ai. F. AI.cooking has built a quantitative model that extrapolated from research and computed trends to provide a median estimate that transformative AI might be possible in 2052. What he means is mostly ML or machine learning models that have as much computation as human brain, not singularity. But we think that date is a bit pessimistically late. G. Deep reinforcement learning has led to multiple research breakthroughs and is making its way into production via robotics. Ocado are leaders in this area. H. NLP startups raised over $375 million in 2021. Report authors think that this trend will massively continue. AI had largely failed to make a major impact in tackling COVID. One rare counterexample was the use of reinforcement learning to decide which passengers to test at the Greek border. J. The Chinese Academy of Sciences has gone from having no AI publications in 1980 to the #1 institution publishing AI research today. Incredible. K. The new framework, JAX, JAX, is on an absolute tear, with over 1/3 of models on Hugging Face having a JAX implementation. Feels inevitable that a great startup will emerge around this wave, whereby JAX is a Python package that combines Autograd, a library for automatic differentiation, and XLA, a compiler for linear algebra to accelerate computation for machine learning research. JAX is created by Google and is competing with Google's TensorFlow and PyTorch. Language models continue to receive huge investment, and after the superglue benchmark was developed in response to glue being too easy, it too fell to teams from Baidu, Google, and Microsoft. M. After the success of GPT-3, large language models in multiple languages are emerging from private and public companies, academic research labs, and independent open source initiatives. N. Finally, this State of .ai report includes some predictions for next 12 months, including DeepMind releases a major research breakthrough in the physical sciences. JAX framework grows 5-fold. Transformers will replace recurrent networks. In other news, Google Research Brain Team has published new paper Pix2Sec, Pix2Seq, a language modeling framework for object detection. A quote from abstract of this paper. This paper presents Pix2Sec, a simple and generic framework for object detection. Unlike existing approaches that explicitly integrate prior knowledge about the task, we simply cast object detection as a language modeling task conditioned on the observed pixel inputs. Object descriptions, e.g., bounding boxes and class labels, are expressed as sequences of discrete tokens, and we train a neural net to perceive the image and generate the desired sequence. Our approach is based mainly on the intuition that if a neural net knows about where and what the objects are, we just need to teach it how to read them out. Beyond the use of task-specific data augmentations, our approach makes minimal assumptions about the task, yet it achieves competitive results on the challenging COCO dataset, where COCO equals common objects in context, a large-scale dataset from Microsoft, compared to highly specialized and well-optimized detection algorithms. And in more news, Microsoft has published on GitHub "Fake It Till You Make It" face analysis in the wild using synthetic data alone. Quote, "We demonstrate that it is possible to perform face-related computer vision in the wild using synthetic data alone. The community has enjoyed the benefits of synthesizing training data with graphics, but the domain gap between real and synthetic data has remained a problem, especially for human faces. Researchers have tried to bridge this gap with data mixing, domain adaptation, and domain adversarial training. But we show that it is possible to synthesize data with minimal domain gap, so that models trained on synthetic data generalize to real, in-the-wild datasets. We describe how to combine a procedurally generated parametric 3D face model with a comprehensive library of handcrafted assets to render training images with unprecedented realism and diversity. We train machine learning systems for face-related tasks, such as landmark localization and face parsing, showing that synthetic data can both match real data in accuracy as well as open up new approaches where manual labeling would be possible. And in some more news, other news, if you will, University of California and Tsinghua University have published paper Vision-Guided Quadruple Locomotion in the Wild with Multi-Model Delay Randomization. Quote, "Developing robust vision-guided controllers for quadrupedal robots in complex environments with various obstacles, dynamic surroundings, and uneven terrains is very challenging. While reinforcement learning, or RL, provides a promising paradigm for agile locomotion skills with vision inputs in simulation, it is still very challenging to deploy the RL policy in the real world. Our key insight is that aside from the discrepancy in the observation domain gap between simulation and real world, the latency from the control pipeline is also a major cause of the challenge. In this paper, we propose multi-model delay randomization, or MMDR, to address this issue when training with RL agents. And for some more news, Naveen Rao and Hanling Tang, after leaving Intel last year, on Wednesday revealed a startup called Mosaic ML. It aims to help businesses and researchers carry out artificial intelligence more efficiently. In other words, by using less computing power and fewer chips. It has raised $37 million in funding from Lux Capital, Playground Global, and other venture investors. Mosaic ML's founders said that artificial intelligence models, which must be trained using huge troves of data, have jumped in complexity since 2018. Training a model can now require millions of dollars worth of computing, putting it out of reach for all but large companies. There is no single technology for reducing AI computing costs, but instead a mosaic, hence the company's name, of different approaches emerging amongst researchers. Mosaic ML puts those existing ideas into a more polished form that is directly usable by businesses. And in other news, Duke professor wins $1 million artificial intelligence prize, a new Nobel. Cynthia Ruddin becomes the second recipient of AAAI Squirrel AI Award for pioneering socially responsible AI. Whether preventing explosions on electrical grids, spotting patterns amongst past crimes, or optimizing resources in care of critically ill patients, Duke University computer scientist and engineer Cynthia Ruddin wants artificial intelligence, or AI, to show its work, especially when it's making decisions that deeply affect people's lives. While many scholars in the developing field of machine learning were focused on improving algorithms, Ruddin instead wanted to use AI's power to help society. She chose to pursue opportunities that apply machine learning techniques to important societal problems, and in the process realized that AI's potential is best unlocked when humans can peer inside and understand what it is doing. Now, after 15 years of advocating for and developing interpretable machine learning algorithms that allow humans to see inside AI, Ruddin's contributions to the field have earned her the $1 million Squirrel AI Award for Artificial Intelligence for the benefit of humanity from the Association for the Advancement of Artificial Intelligence, or AAAI. Finally, the Knowledge Corner. What is model explainability? So, imagine you build a machine learning model using the automated machine learning user interface, and you need to ensure that the model meets the transparency principle for responsible AI. What should you do? Well, easy. Enable Explain Best Model. Usually, users of AI technology, machine learning, are training or using models, but in most cases, these models are black boxes, so it is not clear what is reasoning or logic behind these machine learning models. However, in some industries, this black box behavior of machine learning models is unacceptable. Here is a quote from Microsoft Super Corporation.
Model explainability. Most businesses run on trust, and being able to open the ML black box helps build transparency and trust. In heavily regulated industries like healthcare and banking, it is critical to comply with regulations and best practices. One key aspect of this is understanding the relationship between input variables or features and model output. Knowing both the magnitude and direction of the impact each feature or feature importance has on the predicted value helps better understand and explain the model. With model explainability, we enable you to understand feature importance as part of automated ML runs.
That's it from Microsoft. Now let's ponder about this topic from other points of view. So, what is explainability of a model? Model explainability is a broad concept of analyzing and understanding the results provided by machine learning models. It is most often used in the context of black box models, for which it is difficult to demonstrate how did the model arrive at a specific decision. What are interpretable models? Interpretable models are models who explain themselves. For instance, from a decision tree you can easily extract decision rules. Model-agnostic methods are methods you can use for any machine learning model, from support vector machines to neural nets. What is the difference between interpretability and explainability? Interpretability has to do with how accurate a machine learning model can associate a cause to an effect. Explainability has to do with the ability of the parameters, often hidden in deep nets, to justify the results. What are the 4 key principles of responsible AI? Their principles underscore fairness, transparency and explainability, human-centeredness, and privacy and security. In other words, companies and corporations use model explainability of their machine learning models to convince customers that their AI tech is ethical. How do you explain AI model? Explainable artificial intelligence, also known under abbreviation as XAI, is a set of processes and methods that allow human users to comprehend and trust results and output created by machine learning algorithms. Explainable AI is used to describe an AI model, its expected impact, and potential biases. More on how you would explain a model. With various types of explainability approaches. When it comes to explaining the models and / or their decisions, multiple approaches exist. One may want to explain the global or overall model behavior or provide a local explanation, i.e., explain the decision of the model about each instance in the data. Well, to elaborate and show exactly how model explainability works, we would need many pictures and formulas, and we are too lazy to create videos, or to create Podcasting 2.0 chapter images. So let's just finish discussion of this topic by underlining importance of increased model scrutiny. We, as a society, have pushed black box model scrutiny under the rug. We do not understand the decisions that our machine learning models are making. And until recently, it didn't seem to be bothering anyone in particular. This is changing, however. AI engineers and data scientists will be held accountable as models start to make mistakes. And this will lead to a trend where we examine the decisions our model makes with the same rigor we would a dataset that the model is trained on. And that's it for this episode. Stay safe. Clunk. Meatbag. Wow, that was an interesting bunch of news, wasn't it? I like how it's focusing on our reaction to AI decisions and how humanity is responsible for holding some sort of leash around this thing, stopping it from making disastrous decisions that have really poor consequence on lots of human beings, lots of souls. It's interesting, the black box is a closed system, and that someone out there like that lady, what was her name? Cynthia Ruddin, who's trying to make people more aware, because I think largely in general, in my experience anyway, people tend to give an opinion about something they know very little about, and they expect their opinion to be validated and implemented. And what they expect and what they receive is often two separate outcomes. And that can lead to a sort of psychological uncomfortableness, where they exist in a world where they have no control over it and no understanding. They are almost over-socialized and under-informed. Well, thank you for sticking around. If you would like to get in touch with me, you can find me on the Fediverse at gwff, which is GWFF, at noagendasocial.com. Or you can find my partner in crime at CSB, which is CSB at noagendasocial.com. In the future, we'll have exciting things like websites and hopefully voicemails and all sorts. But for now, much like the topic we discuss, we are in our infancy. We are just approaching toddler-like wide-eyedness. And so these things will take some time. I hope you enjoy your next 2 weeks, and I look forward to speaking to you once more. Ah! The singularity is near!